Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Peace Podcast. This is season 2, episode 11. Just give me someone who gets it, whatever that looks like. And I landed on this one as I was thinking about a conversation that I had with my daughter. And so sometimes when she receives some sort of consequence or, her behavior isn't exactly the way that it should be, and we have to do something to kind of divert it or alter it, her feeling is always, well, you don't get it. And my response to her is, girl, you don't even understand how much I do get it. Because in that phase of life, when I was in my preteen to teenage years, I was definitely not a rule follower and I pushed the envelope oftentimes more than I should have. And I was in a similar, if not more intense boat than she's in. And so I do get it because I was her. I was living that life. And so I share my experiences with her, not to give her an idea that what she's doing is okay, but to let her understand that one, I do completely understand where she is. And also, I know what it looks like on the other side. So I know the mistakes that I made. I know some of the decisions that I shouldn't have made. And also, I trust the fact that, there were times where my parents knew exactly what was going to happen before it happened, and they knew the result of my actions and behaviors. And I just thought that they were being old and being, parents. Parents do that thing where they're controlling everything you're doing. And as a teenager, you think that that is because they don't like you or because they're trying to prevent you from, having freedom or whatever it is. And I thought about, how important it is to really understand that your experiences are not exclusive to you. And sometimes as adults, especially, I think we get into these cocoons where we think, you know, what I'm experiencing is a result of the mistakes that I've made or the decisions that I've made or the burdens that I've placed on other people, and no one else understands. Yesterday I went to get my nails done, and on the way there, like, my anxiety is usually connected to some sort of like body function or system. And so on Saturdays, I'm like running around like a crazy person trying to clean my house because during the week there just isn't enough time. I commute and I'm gone for at least 12 hours out of the day. And so there just isn't enough time for me to do all the things. And so Saturday is my day to just reconnect with cleaning and, all the things that need to be done. And so I was doing that and I was moving. And then on the way to the nail appointment was the first time that I actually sat and let my body be still. And when I did that, I started to notice my body more because when you're not moving, you can notice, the symptoms of your body. And when that happened, like, I started feeling like senses of heat in my body and senses of, stress in my body and all other things that maybe I didn't notice before because I was kind of, shoving to the back because got to get this cleaning done. And I got to the nail salon and I was in full blown panic attack. So I text my sister because I know that she also has anxiety. And so I texted her and I was like, um, I'm having like extreme anxiety right now. And it's so funny, but because although our anxiety is not the same, it's a similar experience. So I had texted her and I was like, here's what's going on. Here's how I'm feeling. And she was like, ask me. She didn't ask what's wrong because she knew that that's not like a logical what's wrong is not what I needed at that moment. And so I just told her, I feel like my body feels like I just want to crawl out of my skin, whatever. And she said something that I was just like, wow, she gets it. She said, walk outside in the rain and let the rain just, drip over your face or rain on your body. And she was like, it's going to ground you. And as soon as she said it, like, I felt a sense of ease because someone got it. Someone understood like why I was feeling the way I was feeling, but also like what to do about it, not just be like, calm down, because that never works. And then she went on to say, like, I get it. You just feel like running and not being able or not wanting to go back, like just running away from whatever it is. And when she said that, it clicked for me that my body had been moving all morning. And then all of a sudden, because my body wasn't moving, the cortisol that is in your body from the stress from your day or your week has a place to rest and settle. And so that's what I was experiencing. And so I say all that to say that there's comfort in knowing that someone gets it, right? There's comfort in knowing that someone has been in that same space that you've been in. There's comfort in having someone in your corner that can legitimately empathize, not just sympathize and be like, I've never been through that, but I feel for you, but like somebody who truly gets it. And though I would never wish anxiety on anyone, it's still comforting to know that like I can call my sister and be like, here's what I'm feeling right now, and she knows exactly what's going on in my body, and she knows exactly like what I need to hear at that moment. And it also made me think of one of my former students who is now a follower of mine on social media. Shout out Mallory. She had posted this super authentic and very like vulnerable moment where she was talking about her skin. And when she shared it, like I could not get her out of my brain. And I was like, why am I so like incapable of just pushing this out of my head? And I landed on the fact that it was because I wanted her to know that like she wasn't the only person that was experiencing this. And although I saw tons of people in the comments of her post saying, "You're strong, you're one of the strongest people I know, and I love you," and I thought that was wonderful. I thought you should probably just share your experience with your own acne and your skin with her so that she understands that she's not the only one. And so I reached out to her and I was just like, hey, listen, like I'm 41 years old, here's what I have experienced with acne in my skin my entire life. Here are some things that I've tried. I just want you to know that it was super brave for you to share that because it's something that I know is very vulnerable to share, but it's also embarrassing, right? Especially when you're looking around at your friends and everybody seems to have clear skin, and here you are with like a face full of acne, and you've tried all the things and you've gone to all the doctors and you don't understand why, and you're trying to cover it with all this makeup, which is essentially making it worse later, but you don't want to go into the world showing them all of these things. And so when I reached out to her, like I didn't reach out to her on some glorified like self-righteousness. It was, I want you to know that you're not alone. And I want you to know that here are some things that I tried that perhaps could work for you. And she had a level of appreciation, but I knew that the real connection there was just, I'm not the only one. And so today, I just want you to understand that you're not the only one. Whatever you're experiencing, it has been experienced before. It may not be in tandem. So your entire experience is exclusive to you. Like all those things at one time are probably exclusive to you, but the pieces of your experiences are not. And there are people who have experienced it, come out on the other side, and have wisdom and knowledge to share with you, which is really the entire reason that I even started this podcast or even my social media platform in the first place, was to help people break free from the bondage of whatever they were experiencing that I had already experienced, so that I could share with them like, hey, look, I've been there, I am there, and also here's what the other side looks like. And so here's the thing, though, that happens because we are people, we are human. We don't want people to know what we're experiencing. We hide and we cover up what we're going through because we're embarrassed and we hold shame about it. What happens is because no one's getting real, everyone thinks that they're alone. And because you aren't being authentic about your experience and I'm not being authentic about my experience, we have a world of people who are thinking something is wrong with me. I'm the only one who feels this way. I'm the only one who's ever experienced this, and I'm all alone. And the reality is, if everybody would just get real, if everybody, not just one or two, but like if everybody would just get real with where they are, what they're experiencing, and stop being fake and wearing these masks to cover up what's actually going on, we would realize the commonalities that we have with people are far more vast than we ever thought that they were. Have you ever met somebody and you looked at them and there was something that you admired about them, and then you got to know them and they started sharing their story with you and you were like, holy cow, like I never would have guessed that this person had dealt with or was experiencing that, because on the surface, they present as this human who just has it all together. Well, let me let you in on the biggest secret of mankind. No one has it all together. No one has anything all together. Even if it looks like they do, they don't. And even if professionally they're out here killing it, there is something either professionally, personally, or spiritually that they've dealt with or are dealing with that if they were authentic, you would be able to connect with it and understand and be able to make um, make the connection in your brain so that you would know that whether you're experiencing now or you have in the past, that there's another side to this. And I believe that that's part of the reason why we read books. It's part of the reason why the Bible becomes so prevalent for us, because we're looking for pieces of us in other people to give us that hope and feeling that, oh, someone else has gone through this and I'm going to come out on the other side. When people share their most vulnerable moments, that's exactly what it does. So if you're one of those people who is wearing a mask and not sharing and presenting this facade to the world, not only are you faking it, but also you're robbing the people around you from the experiencing of the experience of feeling like me too. Like I have experienced this. I am experiencing it. And I know that now I have somebody to talk to. Did my sister reach back out to me and say, well, I don't experience anxiety anymore, but no, she just said, right now she wasn't in a moment of anxiety, but she has been before. And she's reached out to me and she's been vulnerable. And we laugh with each other and we go, why are we crazy? We know we're not, but it's like something that we can find solace and just happiness in each other, knowing what the other person is going through, a level of comfort, right? So if you're walking around here being fake, or you see all the people around you wearing that facade, please know that every single person that you cross paths with is going through something. Whatever that something is, probably relates to a something that you've gone through. I mean, I've had people tell me, I can't believe, like people who know me and know me in the professional realm and see me being this confident and like just jazzed up person. When I told them that my past relationships were abusive, people's jaws hit the floor. They were like, you experienced that type of relationship? And the answer was yes, because what I portrayed into the world was a extreme effort to hide what I was going through at home. That's just exactly what we do. We want to hide who we are instead of being authentic about who we are. The struggles that you think are just your own, they're not. There are plenty of people who have gone through that exact same thing. So, what can we do to make sure that we're putting ourselves in spaces, places, and with people who just get it? Well, the first thing you need to recognize is no one's going to have the exact same story as yours, right? It's going to be different. But the basic structure and principle of what you need to know, that person has it. They know it. They've gone through it. And it's funny because you start to notice that when you become your real authentic self and when you get real vulnerable with who you are, the people that connect with you are the people that know you. Two of my closest friends who I just became friends with in this past year, in 2023, have experienced abusive relationships. And some of the exact same things that I've gone through, they've gone through them too. They can share their experience with me. I can share with them. I see them going on the other side. Like my friend Tanja, like I look at her all the time and I tell her, like, your marriage gives so many people hope because of what you've been through, and the people who think they'll never have it, like what you have right now gives the hope that that will exist. Imagine if she would have never shared her story with me. Imagine if she would have never gotten vulnerable with me and shared what she'd experienced and what her daughters had experienced and the level of misery that she was living in. Her marriage right now would just seem like a regular marriage to me because I didn't know the backstory. But now that I do, it's like, oh my gosh, like I love you guys. I love what you stand for. I love what you're about. I love your level of communication. And the only reason that I can see that is because she shared her vulnerability with me. So you have to realize that if you want to be in the spaces, places, and with the people who get it, you have to start being authentic. You cannot hide anymore. You have to be who you truly are. If today is a day of crying, girl, cry. If today is a day of climbing to, I mean, I tell my friends all the time, if you need somebody to talk to, somebody to vent to, or somebody to hike to the top of the mountain with you, to scream at the top of your lungs, I'm your girl because I've done it. I have gone to the most beautiful places in nature and just screamed to the top of my lungs to get it out, right? And sometimes you have to realize that there are people crying in silence. There are people screaming in silence. I was one of those people. You don't have to be one of those people. You can walk in your authenticity. You can be exactly who you are and stop hiding behind the mask, because the reality is you'll never connect with the people who can help you, the people who have gone through what you're going through or what you've gone through, if you don't share that vulnerable moment. I never would have guessed that Mallory was having issues with her skin. The pictures that she posted didn't show it. But when she posted it, I reached out to her immediately after. I was like, why is this bothering me so much? And I let her know, I've dealt with this, and here are some things that I've experienced, and here are some things that I've done that are working, so that she would know she's not alone, but also that there's a solution to this. Had she never shared that post, I never would have reached out to her with that information, because I don't share that information even on my platform, which is why I share with her how brave she was. So really think about the places where you're putting that mask on. Like, what are you hiding from? One, you think you're hiding from the judgment of other people, but what you're really hiding from is the ability for people to access your authenticity and help you. People to really tell you, hey, I've been through this before. I have experience right now. One of the people that's closest to me, the experiences that he's going through right now, I just went through the exact same ones 2 years ago. So when he's going through them and he's telling me, oh my gosh, this happened and I don't know what to do, and here's how I feel, I go, do you mind if I share my experience with you? Because I was right where you are, not even 2 years ago. And I'd love to share with you what I found on the other side of this. And those authentic moments help him to be able to process, is that really what I'm going through too? Is this really what I'm feeling too? And are these things that are tools that will help me through this? But you'll never get there if you're hiding. You'll never get there if you're not exposing what's really bothering you. And also, again, you are robbing people from the ability to really sit with you, to sit alongside you and walk with you. Because I'm telling you, there are people in your world that you would never guess are experiencing that exact same thing. So you got to get authentic. You got to be real and stop hiding. These masks that we wear every day are annoying. They're annoying because we do it to protect ourselves, but everyone's doing it so everyone's protected, and nobody's able to be a community to each other because we're so busy trying to push away the opinions of other people and the judgment of other people. I know that when I share about what I experienced in those past relationships, there are people on these platforms that are thinking things and having opinions, and maybe they don't really think that I've experienced it or whatever, but I know what I went through. And I know that in sharing this, I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, thank you for sharing that because it really helped me. I'm not wearing that mask anymore. I refuse, because it's not what I'm put here to do. We're all wearing the same mask, walking around in the world to try to be in alignment with each other in the same fake way, when really we're in alignment with each other in the experiences and the misery and the trials and the tribulations that we're dealing with. We can't even help each other because we're being so fake. And the second thing is, we have to debunk the oversharing myth, right? I'm not saying to go into your work meeting where you know no one and tell them all about your childhood wounds. Not saying that at all. But when we get in a space where we see someone experiencing something and it relates to what we've experienced, and we're in that phase where we're like, well, I don't want to overshare. I don't want to tell them too much. Just ask, do you mind if I share an experience with you? Because I feel like it might help you. If they don't want to hear it, they don't want to hear it. But you sitting there acting like, well, if I don't want to tell too much, I don't want to reveal too much, that is a tactic that abusers use. And I know because my dad shared it with me about his experience as a child. I've known it about my experiences. There are people who will tell you to leave your family business inside of your household. And though that serves to a certain extent, because we don't want our teenagers to go out and tell everybody every single thing that's going on inside of our house, because that's our family business, it also is a way to keep you from finding people who can help you out of that pit. I remember when I was in one of my abusive relationships, and yes, I say one of because there were several, and he used to tell me all the time, perhaps you feel the way that you feel in those spaces because they're judging you because you have 3 kids by 3 different men. Perhaps the reason that they don't invite you to these things, or the reason that they're doing things without you, is because they don't really want to hang out with somebody of your caliber because you have 3 kids by 3 different people. And I believed him until one of them, shout out to my girlfriend, one of them said, no one cares about, because I asked her. I finally got close enough to her to ask her. And she said, no one cares about that. I come from a family that has similar things inside of it. And I don't even think about that in you. Like, that's not even something that I think about. And I thought to myself, here I was for years inside of this circle thinking that they were judging me for this thing because he told me that. Don't share with them what's going on inside of your situation because they're already judging you because of this. That was his way of me keeping my mouth shut. So none of those women would say, girl, you need to leave. And when I started being authentic and sharing, those women started saying, girl, why are you there? And they happened to be the people who helped me pack my stuff and move it and unpack it when I got to the new place when I left that situation. So we have ourselves thinking, I don't want to share too much. I don't want people to think that I'm taking over the stage. Girl, share your business with them. I'm not saying we're like just puke all over them with all of the information and everything bad that's happening in your life. But when you become authentic and you realize that what you conceal, you can never heal, you will share the things that you know they have a space in that environment. You will share the things that you know those people have some wisdom to share with you. It's uncomfortable, yeah. It feels weird to get that vulnerable because you're exposing wounds. But I'm telling you, some of the best pieces of advice and wisdom have come from people that I felt self-conscious with sharing my story to. And as soon as I shared it, they were like, me too. Let me tell you what happened with me. Let me tell you about what I did. And it could be people that you would never guess are going through it. But if you have in your head, don't overshare, don't tell too much, don't give people too much of who you are, you will never be able to heal that thing because you're expending all of your energy concealing it. You have an addiction to porn, tell somebody. There are so many people who have that same addiction that will be able to tell you what they did to overcome it. You have an addiction to a substance, I promise you, there are tons of people who are recovering and have been through recovery that would love to hold your hand through it as opposed to coming to seeing you in a casket. We hide what we think other people are going to judge us for, but it'll never heal that way because you're doing it behind closed doors and nobody can help you that way. Let's stop hiding who we are and in the name of we don't want to overshare and start just being who we are and letting people authentically connect with us and pulling them up. Because where you are right now, you are past that point, but somebody is ahead of you and you want them to pull you up. You want them to look at where you are right now and say, hey, girl, hey, I got some stuff for you because I was there and now I'm here and let me pull you up. The same way that you should be looking at the people behind you who are in that same space that you used to be in and say, I got something for you because I was there and now I'm here and I'd love to give you the solutions to these things. The story about what happened to me and how it would help. Sharing our story is the ultimate way to let people know they're not alone and that there's a solution and that there's light at the end of this tunnel. And that leads me to my final thing, which is you have to look for people who are solution based when you're doing this. And you have to be a person who is solution based when you're doing this. That doesn't mean that we're just excusing all of someone's emotions and going straight to the solution. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is if you sit in the space and you use that time, the gift of time that you have with that person, to wallow in pity and to wallow in your experiences and to talk about the other person. He did this, she did this, and continue to perpetuate that cycle of you feeling the shame of where you are right now. We will never get to the other side. And so this is why I don't have one of those Facebook groups where it's supposed to be to support people, but people come there and they're just sharing everything that's going on with them. Because what I think sometimes, and I'm not throwing shade on the people who do, but sometimes when you're in those groups, it's literally a group of people sharing their current experience so they all feel some level of comfort in being in the shame and drowning in the misery and trying to figure out the other person. The thing about like the recovery programs and the, Alcoholics Anonymous of the world is, yes, they share their current, like, I'm here's where I am right now. But they also have a solution-based mindset there. And if you're in a space where you're not looking for solution-based people, and you're in a space where you're not being a solution-based person, you'll spend years treading water in the same environment that's making you sick, that's drowning you. So you have to think like, yes, I want to share my concerns. Yes, I want to share whatever's going on with me. Yes, I want to connect with people who get it. But just like my sister didn't start asking me what's wrong and didn't start focusing on the problem, she went straight to, here's what you got to do to get your body out of there. That type of solution-based energy is what gets us out of the space we're stuck in. Just like with all the, like when I was telling you about my former student, like I didn't go to her and say, me too, girl. Oh my gosh, my skin is so bad. And da, da, da. I could have, because it still is still a problem for me. But I connected with her. I said, I understand how you feel, and you're so brave for being vulnerable. And I'd like to offer you some things that I've tried that worked and some things that didn't. It was solution based. I don't want her to sit in a space where she feels helpless about what she's experiencing. I want her to feel what she feels, but I also wanted to connect with her so she understands that she doesn't have to be there. And those are the people that are my people. Those are the people who get it with me. When I share my vulnerable moments and I'm frustrated and I'm sharing with them, this is how I feel. Oftentimes they know, like my friend Effie has sent me text messages that are the answer to some problem that I'm experiencing shame around right then. And I haven't even told her that I'm experiencing it. She just sends me this YouTube video and I'm like, girl, how did you know? But we're connected on such a level that she knows what I'm feeling right then. She knows what I'm going through right then. And she shares the solution to that thing, the hope for that thing. And so today, I just want to encourage you, if you're looking for someone who gets it, you have to start getting real and vulnerable. You have to stop thinking about what it looks like to overshare. You have to be so committed to the healing that you refuse to do the concealing. And you have to look for people who are solution based. And to those people who've experienced something and you're still wearing the mask because you don't want anybody to know what you've experienced in this world, I would just encourage you to think about, if you're authentic, how are you helping someone else through their journey? If you share your experience, how are you helping them debunk the oversharing? And if you're a solution-based person, not continuing to perpetuate the problem that you've experienced, but talking about how you got to the other side, how much more will you be able to assist the world around you? How much more bondage will people be able to throw off of themselves by just everybody grasping onto the concept of everyone wants to be around someone who gets it. Everyone wants to know someone who gets it. We also have to start being someone who gets it. And the only way to do that is to start getting vulnerable and authentic with the people around us. So today I would just encourage you, think about those places where you're wearing your masks. Think about those places where you're pretending to the world like you're something that you're not. And think about how many people are living in the same bondage that you've escaped from, and how much you could be doing for them by just being authentic and sharing your story. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to look me up on all social media sites. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch the linked video, and continue to share with your friends, especially the people who might need to hear this message. I would just encourage every single one of you to go out and be authentic today and the days ahead. Continue to share your stories, continue to share your experiences so that we can be a community and a society that's no longer living in the bondage of perfection, but is really being real with each other and taking down the masks and helping each other through whatever it is that we're going through, because that's why we're here. That's why we're connected to people. I love being that for you guys. I love being connected to you. And if you'd like to connect me, you can reach out to me on all social media sites, in my DMs, and I will gladly assist you with whatever it is that you're going through. Thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will see you again next week.